It's Friday, February 16th. Just a
Hmm.
little after 4 o'clock. And as everyone knows, it's the time for Ask Us Anything with my buddy
Anything.
Greg Walters.
How's it
Uh,
going? How's it going, Art? Hello, everyone, and the ships at sea.
Good to see you again, as always.
Always is. Yep.
And
Whew.
we're hoping to have a couple of guests on board shortly, but I guess it all depends on Friday, you know,
Yeah.
early quitters or late arrivals.
God. What
So
I see
I,
the
uh,
speaking of Fridays, Friday Deutsche Bank, German bank, they are mandating employees come back in on Fridays and Mondays.
that's it.
Of the well, yeah, that's it. But of all the days, a lot of people are just doing Tuesday, Thursdays, or whatever. They did Friday and Mondays, two
Right.
worst days.
I've seen a
But
lot more of that. I saw an announcement by some other company did that as well, where they want everybody back in the office.
yeah, you're going to start seeing the mandates, and you heard everything from it's just quiet layoffs. They figure people won't come back, so they're going to lay them off. And I've seen everything from you guys have to be back, and managers have to live 50 miles within the 50 miles from the office, and a lot of them over COVID in the last few years moved out of
Really?
that. Yeah, so there's that.
Do you think
It's
it also may be because that they're finding out that productivity is waning?
no, it isn't that at all.
Really?
No, I mean science. Lots of studies have come out even in the last 30, 60 days, to be honest with you, that you're finally getting some data on productivity. And no, it isn't decreasing because of work from home or work from anyone. It is not decreasing. And then there's plenty of arguments that can be made that, even when everyone was home, no corporate, you know, company lost money, right? Their profit margins didn't go down. Their stock prices didn't go down. Indeed, a lot of them increased. So, I mean, we're in a different subject, but there's all sorts of things that are going on here. The layoffs are huge. I didn't, there's another thing to talk about. Holy moly.
Yeah.
And then a lot of companies are realizing that they've got 30 years left on their lease, their office space,
Right.
and they can't break them. But also, a lot of these companies, if you look at the big corporations that are pulling people back, their 401ks, or the corporate 401ks, have a lot of investments in commercial real estate.
Right.
So if no one comes back to the offices in these commercial real estate establishments, they could see a hit in their 401ks, which, I mean, I'm not saying too bad. There's nothing they can do about it. It's done. So these are the last gasps, the last throws. It'll settle in about 60-40, I think. Maybe, there's still going to be plenty of office spaces. A lot of companies that have 9 to 5s Monday through Friday, but there's still going to be a big chunk of them that won't. And then over time, we'll probably see a matriculation out to even 50-50 and below. And this is stuff I'm reading and I talked to a lot of CRE commercial real estate guys, especially in the last 12 months.
Right.
And, there are pockets, look at the number of cranes going up. There aren't too many cranes. There are some buildings that are converting from business to residential, but that's a tough thing to do. But there are a lot of people walking away from these buildings, which I didn't understand until recently that's common.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that. It's like, wait, they just walk. Yeah, the bank gets them. Oh, so the idea is if you can't fill it up, understood, you can't get a stream of revenue going, you let the bank have it, and then hopefully it's a wash because the bank will sell it and do whatever they have to do with it, and the bank won't take a loss. But now the banks are getting hits,
Right.
and these aren't the big banks. Most commercial real estates are funded by smaller regional banks. So that could be an issue.
Right.
But
I had some notes for just some recent layoffs that I got, but I was just looking through my email and I can't locate them. See the news that broke in New York today?
which one?
Oh, Trump
Oh yeah, the 350 million he owes for.
can't do business in New York for 3 years.
Yeah, I guess that was inevitable. But I don't, that's terrible. But everyone else who does business in New York this day forward needs to be very aware because what he did was not out of practice. I mean, that was something that everyone did.
Absolutely, every single day. And
Yep.
and I guess the worst part of it is, I mean, every bank appraises every property themselves. They send out their own appraisers, right?
Yeah.
And they will not overbook a property.
No, we
They
just,
will not.
it's amazing to me. It,
Yeah.
well, I mean, it is and it isn't. I go, well, who's the victim? Who gets the 350 million?
Of
Who,
course, the
I mean,
state. So they can give it out, dole it out.
and they're going to need it. What
Yeah.
was, I think, who did something that was just in, was it California? Anyway, the weird and wacky laws are starting to come out, and out of these cities, I'm sorry, these sanctuaries that are realizing that their costs are going up, the revenues are dropping, just because we're just talking about it, right? If you're not
Yep.
going to an office in a city, you're not paying tolls, you're not paying parking tickets, you're not paying speeding tickets,
Yep.
you're not. If the buildings go away, there's no more inspections, there's no more tax base. Starbucks isn't selling it. Man, boom, 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 boom. It's just, and everyone's screaming at, not everyone, but people are screaming, well, how can we got to get our people back to work so that they can support these things. No, 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 no.
And the city of New York and the state of New York institutes a congestion tariff on
Yeah,
anybody driving lower than, I don't know, I think it's 60th Street. That is going to cost you $15 per car, not including the cost it is to cross the bridge. And
right.
then people from Staten Island and Long Island got to actually pay as well. It,
Yeah,
it,
it's, and that's
it,
automatic. That's what that camera thing, that's,
and this is what you want to do to promote business, right?
what the cities and everyone seems to be missing is that people didn't stop spending. They spend closer to their home. So that coffee shop down the block or around the corner that you drove by on your way into the city to work to get your $8 Starbucks
Right.
is getting $2.50 now instead of, the spend just shifted.
Right.
And then there was a study out last month that commuters spend, I don't know, $160 more in grocery or something. Like there's a cost of actually commuting down besides gas and everything that they spend money on. And there's a study out there that says if you commute in, no matter where you're commuting, you spend $150 more a week or a month or something like that. But it's part of the evolution, you know?
Yes. Yes. Hey, so I got a
Yeah.
question for you. You're the resident guru. So I'm going to ask you, what are your thoughts between ChatGPT and Copilot? Maybe for our listeners, give us a brief,
Yeah, sure.
ChatGPT and what is Copilot?
So ChatGPT, GPT, Copilot, and Gemini, and then I think Meta's even got one. These are just LLMs, right? Chat. If you don't know that now, that's fine. But yeah, they're just artificial intelligence layered behind a large language model. And what it means is you can communicate with data all over the world via language, large language model.
Right.
So OpenAI over a year ago brought out their Chat GPT, which
Right.
was mass appeal. Okay. I think Microsoft followed, and then either way. So all these big corporations now have, and there's plenty more out there. I think even X or Twitter's got one, Gork or whatever. And they're just ways for you to communicate via the interwebs with data out there. Okay. There's more to it. But so that's them in a nutshell. The difference between OpenAI and say Copilot from Microsoft, their whole deal is they're going to interface all of their applications, right? So Excel, Word, PowerPoint, to where you can communicate with Copilot and say, hey, listen in on my meeting, because I think Teams is part of that.
Right.
And then generate an agenda and schedule for future meetings, follow-up information, and put together a presentation based on the content of that meeting. I mean, that's broad strokes, but basically that's what Copilot is promising to be able to do, because it interfaces all of Microsoft's applications, and it does that. So in effect, at the end of the at the end of the meeting, you can say that, and boom, your PowerPoint is already generated. A couple of documents are generated, emails are sent, and appointments are scheduled, all through that suite of products
Right.
interface.
But
So that's a big deal.
you'd have to authorize it to listen to your meetings.
Yeah, there's authorization throughout the whole thing. And
Okay,
yeah, that's not a problem. You've got to authorize it. There are some and you know, I'm getting in the weeds, but there are some security details that you can seal off uh the large language model into your own internal data. So it doesn't go out to the internet without certain parameters or filters and things like that. And it
all
doesn't
right,
share the data. So you can all keep it contained within your cloud.
all right. So help me out. Large language data
Large
or
language model,
large language
LLM.
model. Okay, for someone who's a novice like me,
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
what does that mean?
Well, that's a great question. So what these LLMs do is they use artificial intelligence as an engine. Okay. And effectively all it does is it's trained on lots and lots of content out in the world
Right?
to such a degree that it can predict the next character in a string of characters. I
Okay,
mean, that's basically it. So, and it's like code. Right? If you look at your keyboard, right? It's the QWERTY Q, keyboard.
right,
There's
right.
a reason there's an FDSA. Those are the most common letters, and the same on the other side, JKL. Those are common letters.
Yeah.
So it takes all that stuff, and when you train it on the vast amount of content, it can pretty much predict what the next character will be based on that line. Okay, and then you just expand it based on that paragraph, based on that story, that book, that letter.
Mhm.
And now you interface that. So that's how it's communicating. But you take the AI magic and it is actually going out there and processing all this data through the LLM. It communicates back to you and me. And not only that does it communicate back, but it can understand what we're telling it to do. That's really the trick. Instead of
Okay,
programming in BASIC or at the DOS prompt or Pascal or any of these stupid programming languages, you're actually telling it what to do, literally talking to it. It takes that and then starts to use, its magic to create code to bring back the information you asked for. But it is a language model. It is LLMs are not AI. It uses AI. But the trick there is the language model can understand any language. It can go back and understand Latin. And I'm surprised you haven't heard that much more about it, but now it can take a picture of all those hieroglyphs in the pyramids, decode and present that,
really.
with yeah, it's boom.
So again, I'm a little bit of a novice. If I wrote a blog in English,
Oh,
I could go into ChatGPT and said, you know,
Pakistani.
yeah, change it to French.
Yep. And here I've done it. I've been in IMs on LinkedIn in French, in Pakistani, um, Spanish, easy. So all I do is do a quick search, filter it, boom. Now that sounds really interesting, but that capability has been through Google in a while. It's much easier with the LLM. And then if you link that, because on the phone, the LLM will listen to me, right? This is nothing new, nothing spectacular, but I can talk to it and it can regurgitate in a different language.
Could I have it monitor my Zoom call for somebody speaking French and it reads it back to me?
Yeah, you can do that.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know
That's
how, but yeah, you can.
who cares how, right?
I know, right? It's like it is the universal translator.
It,
If to pull up a Star Trek reference,
right,
because it can do that. And there's someone in the industry that does name of the company is Sell Me This Pen, SMTP, and he uses AI and verbal command. It's to train salespeople, right?
right,
So
right,
you're role playing with this artificial intelligence that's been trained on
right,
how to be a salesperson or how to be, and you role play. And it isn't, like the olden days. If this person says this, you say that. It's free flowing articulation between two people. Now, right now, the speech you can tell that it's coming from an AI, right? Because
right.
it's had, at least I can tell, but it's getting better every single day, right? It's not going to be that long before, see how I'm talking pretty quickly like that the AI will be able to
Yeah,
talk back to me that fast.
that's crazy.
It's
Crazy.
nuts. Yeah, so that's, I mean, it depends on who you like for your LLM. I jumped on OpenAI. I like
Right.
OpenAI. It's going to sound I don't like Microsoft. I don't like Google. I don't like Facebook. I don't like the big corporations, which is kind of dumb because AI is in bed with Microsoft. So it's like, yeah, all
Right.
right, I know that. But because everyone's struggling to stake their claim, right? The whole world is getting turned upside down because data is not going to be unknown caller. Data isn't going to
Unknown.
be as what it was before. So everyone's trying to stake their claim to monetize AI. So, I mean, for instance, what was it? Copilot, when it first came out, you had, and they don't do this anymore, but when you looked at it, you had to get 300 licenses. It wasn't really available for the
Right. Right.
individual. It is now, right? They've changed. But
Oh yeah.
you watch Microsoft stock, if they make everyone just pay an extra $8 a month per user for their Copilot, and
Right.
you look at all the corporations that use Windows,
Right.
that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money that they can just turn the switch on and boom. Now
Right.
all their, so I don't blame them, but that's just not the way I want it. I don't know if that's
Is
a long answer.
is the investment worth it to upgrade Chat GBT?
Yep. Yep.
How much does it cost?
$20. $20. It can
And
cost as much as I think the new version, I want to say $60 or $40, but that gets you more capabilities. But the $20 a month,
right.
yeah, absolutely.
So how's it going to help the average rep like me?
The average schmo. Well, I'll
Well,
tell you
I
what.
don't know if I'm a schmo.
Well, I am. So let's see.
All right, the average schmoes.
The average schmo, the quality and response is a lot better. Okay. Um, and there's some capabilities to quote customize. I don't like to say customize because everyone thinks that's that it just got very complicated.
Right.
When we're talking customizing, all you're doing is you're actually telling it, literally saying, "Hey, this is what I want to do. I want to, whenever I get an email from this guy, I just want, or from this type of whatever it is, I just want to send out a thank you and cover these 3 points." Literally, you can tell it that, and boom, it comes out with something really nice. All right.
Okay.
So, I like, and if for an average copier dude or salesperson who just wants to use it not just, but wants to use it into everyday life, follow-ups and things like that, 4.0 is much better. 3.5 doesn't have the depth,
Right.
and it actually gets into competition. So if your competition is using 3.5 and you're using 4.0, you are at least 3 or 5 years ahead of them. So
Interesting.
yeah, it is.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
there's so much more you can do, but if you want to get into it, I
And
will.
so let's switch gears a little bit, right?
Mhm.
Let's talk about MPS.
Oh, I love it.
Hold on.
People still
Hold
doing
on.
MPS?
Oh yeah. Where is it? I'm looking for it. So a report came across my Google Alerts today
Yeah.
that the CARG in the next 3 years is 8% increase.
Say that again. I did the what was increased?
Annual growth rate for MPS is going to be 8%,
Who was that?
which is
Kyocera?
pretty substantial.
That's very substantial. Who said that?
I'm trying to find it.
I'm gonna rely on you. I'm not gonna look through mine because it'll take forever.
Yeah, well, it could take forever with all the stuff
Yeah.
I post too. I thought I just posted that the other day.
I'm not gonna find it.
Direct mail. There it is, managed print services. So it's done by Reliable Research Reports. I've never heard of them. Expected by 2026 to reach $61.4 billion, annual growth rate of 8% per year.
Yeah, I'd have to dig into that. When was the last time you heard that?
Well, you know what? Out of what I've been reading for the past year or so, where the copier market is going to increase, it has a growth rate of 0.7% for the next year. 0.7% of
Mhm.
growth. MPS is 8% growth.
I dive in to see what they're describing as MPS. First off, don't know what that is.
Well, managed print services.
Yeah, but some people roll in production print and stuff. I don't know. I don't know and how they define a contract or what. But okay, let's just say it's 4%. It's still like,
It's still a big number, right?
yeah, yeah.
Right, right.
What was your
So,
question? I'm sorry, Art. Yeah.
um, I think that was more of it was a statement first, but the question would be, um, where the hell is the growth coming from? I mean, is it now? I read another report that many users who own printers are now switching to multifunctional devices.
Okay.
So your amount of standalone only printers is now decreasing while the amount of multifunctional devices is increasing. And God, that could be anywhere from home office type machines all the way up to A3 office type machines.
Right.
But printer sales are down, MFP sales are up somewhat, but the managed print portion is, as far as I'm concerned, exploding.
That's huge, but it does. So the way I would look at this is, correlating those two, and I could be totally off here, but the single function printers are now moving away, are depleting. Multifunction doesn't mean A3 or walk-ups. It just means, I can scan and print at, off the same device. So that could still be consumer based, but the
A4s.
it could, yeah, they're A4s. I doubt very much A3 is in there, but who knows? And then there's the subscription thing. Now, HP let some really big numbers out there that's what they're gearing for, right? They want their HP, is it Inc, whatever, HP
Yeah,
Inc or whatever that is. They're really gunning for that to be the model, right?
right,
And I don't think they're going to stop with just single function at all, or that, and it may go all the way up to their MFPs and even their walk-ups. But
right.
um, and their numbers for that are pretty aggressive, but that's because that market's wide open. Still, they've got a lot of good. I think their numbers on the subscriptions are pretty good, but there's still a ton out there to get, and that's probably what is driving that guesstimate of 4 to 8%. So if we take all the printers that are in that realm right now, there probably aren't that many that are under an MPS contract right now. They're out there, but they're not under MPS. So finally,
Right.
people are looking at it as, yeah, that's potential.
So you would tend to think
Woo!
that subscription models now would come under that MPS model. So
Absolutely.
with Epson offering a subscription base, Brother offering subscription base, HP offering subscription base, that's all going to put it under that MPS umbrella.
Yes. Sorry. Absolutely.
Oh,
Yep.
interesting.
Yep. Yep.
Interesting.
And yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
So
So, huh.
I was reading a little bit more on, I just brought up Reliable. Some of their accounts are Amazon, Schneider Electric, Paradigm Consulting, Apple, Boston
that
Consulting,
that's the research company.
yeah, Nokia, and some names I can't even pronounce.
Well, they might be rolling in consumer too. Like we're thinking of B2B, and because consumer is going to be huge with those instant ink. That's what it's called, instant ink,
Right,
because you can't get a machine without being part of instant ink.
right.
And the HP dude was at well, I don't know, that big forum, big meeting over there in the Netherlands or whatever, where all the big highfalutin jet setters were, and
Oh,
he literally said it. We don't make money on the hardware, we make money on the service or on the supplies.
right,
Period.
right.
And we're going to increase that. And I think the subject was, well, how do you feel about being sued for not having, for not allowing other people's toners in your machines? And he was up, it's our IP. We developed it.
All
We
right.
created the toner. That's our, and all right, yeah. So we put it in there, and then I think he shifted into, well, the updates are for security. So if you put someone else's toner in there, the printer is now wide open as a security risk. So you need to,
Interesting.
yeah, I know.
Interesting. I mean, if I put Exxon gas in my car, would that be
That's the metaphor that a lot of people used. And
of
then
course.
I've I had it in my head when he first said that, okay, well, that doesn't make sense because exactly, right? I can use Exxon, I can use BP, I can use anyone's fuel.
Yeah,
But I think the metaphor falls down and I forget why, but it's like, no, not really. There's something else there. It's like, you have to get a Tesla battery for a
right,
Tesla, right?
right.
Because the Tesla only works with a Tesla, and I'm just making this up, but you
Hmm.
know, um, what else? Like a Canon AE lens, there might be knockoffs, but you've got to get the Canon EOS lens to work on your camera. I don't know, but there were examples of where that gasoline thing doesn't fit. But
Right. And that argument is 60, 70, 60 years old. Right?
shit, yeah.
Yeah. Old argument there. Yeah. Um,
I didn't
oh,
think it was that
so
old. Oh
so
man. Hmm.
Dusseldorf, 2024,
Yeah.
the
Got the
Olympics of the print show.
Yeah, every 4 years, right?
Drupa
Drupa. Are they still doing it?
in June. Yeah, they're still doing it. Yeah. I I would love to go to that show once. Well, that is on my bucket list, my friend.
Make it so.
Yeah, well, the next one would be in 2028. Yeah, 2028. I'm starting to get up there, man. I might need a walker to get there. Or I might be like good old Joe going up the stairs.
If Joe can do it, you can do it.
Well, he doesn't do it that often. But anyway,
Yeah.
interesting. Dusseldorf every 4 years. Um,
Mhm.
interesting show where all the players in print are supposed to be at the show.
Well,
But
correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that production print and
it
web and stuff like that? Or I don't know.
production print, more production print. Yes,
Okay.
yes. More of your wide format print, your machines that will cost anywhere from $50,000 up to millions of
Right.
dollars.
So it was
But
the HP, whatever the heck that is, all the
yeah,
way up to the Heidelbergs.
yeah, the Heidelbergs, man, I can't remember the name of the HP. Indigo,
Indigo.
right,
Yep.
right,
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
Konica Minolta's big super production boxes and accounts manufacturers we've never probably heard
Oh,
of that much before.
I think I just saw a
But
Kyocera production machine.
they do.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
inkjet Task Alpha, I think 15,000 on the lines of the Rezo machine, how the Rezos, Com
The
Colors.
Rizzo, yeah.
Right, right. Well, the Rezo Com Colors can do like 150 color pages per minute. So very, very fast, but quality is
It's office color, right?
it's
Office
to me,
color.
it's newspaper color.
There we go. Ooh, God,
Red,
remember that?
red today, gone tomorrow. Right?
Well, here's something. I remember the first time seeing a color photo on a newspaper.
Yeah.
The first time. It's like, whoa, that's cool. I think it might have been US News. Remember US News when they came
I
out with
remember US News, but I don't remember their first color photo now.
they had a blue banner on top. It was the first time I said, wow, that's pretty cool. That's old. Now
Well,
we're old. Anyway, so you
yeah. So I
so
want
you
to go back to Drupa.
yeah.
Can you guess the player who's missing? Ask me anything. Can you guess the player who's missing from Drupa this
From
year?
Drupa this year. How about Xerox?
Absolutely correct.
Hmm. Gee, I wonder why. Ha.
Expense,
Expense, direction.
direction, competition from FBI. Do you know what FBI stands for?
Federal. No, what does it stand for? Wait a minute. Yeah, what? No.
Fuji Business Innovation.
Fuji. Yeah, weren't they in bed at one time?
Fujifilm.
Yeah.
Fujifilm. They've as everything that I've read, have or will be having their USA beachhead to sell MFPs.
Whoa.
And,
Well, yeah,
and
now that's been talked about before, Art. So you know it's I think pre-COVID it was a ooh, here they come kind of thing.
so I can't say one, I haven't seen an official launch,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of things that I'm reading lead me up to it. I haven't investigated it that much. Of course, because I still got my day job of schlepping copiers. Um,
And you're a good schlepper.
yeah, I'm a good schlepper, but it's interesting, right? Right?
Oh yeah, it's real interesting. I would this is just me talking not the whatever. Xerox, it's one of the few companies I've never actually worked with, right? I've never resold, I've never been part of
Right.
their pyramid, but I've been able to observe and having worked with HP, been able to contrast the two, right? And Xerox has been going through transition. Even before COVID, they were doing that whole, I don't know, their whole internal program to realign everything, right? And I think it's working. So I think they are truly expanding their technical prowess. They're talking about AI, they're talking about changing the way people
Well,
were making work, that kind of thing.
they recently invested in an AI company. It was
Right.
a Myriad, uh, Myriad, MYRAID Venture Partners announced it as 100 million in commitments
Really?
from investors, including Xerox.
Okay. Well,
Supposedly,
that
they're
makes
gonna,
sense.
yeah, they're gonna focus on art AI B2B software.
Well, I could see them doing that finally. I mean, they stopped doing R&D on xerography years ago. Um,
Right,
and they're just like everyone else is trying to break away from marks on paper and more into workflow and digital and blah 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 all that crap. Um, so maybe it's reflective of that movement. Although it's tough because that's what funds your expansion or selling machines and getting service agreements. So, well, it'll be interesting. Certainly. I think that, swerving off into HP, right? I think that HP, because of their PC side, is really poised to see a shift in their revenue patterns from output to PCs, which hasn't happened in a long time. Right? I'm talking,
right,
I see a shift on the scale of back when we were moving from 286s to 386s. When there were 12 different people out there making computers, the PC revolution. I think that a refresh of AI compliant devices would be huge.
right.
And I think that's where it's going. I just saw something again today. Shit, I forget who it was. It was NVIDIA. It might have been what these chips are coming out to where instead of
Mhm.
AI being processed on our CPU that was designed for Windows and DOS and all the other operating systems, there's going to be an AI chip that all it does instead of processing, just like how we've got video chips. So the computer setup that I've got a processor that does my calculations, my spreadsheet kind of stuff. I have another processor that does the calculations to address the pixels on my screen. So all the work that needs to be done to put an image on my screen is done by a separate processor. All the processing, so like spell check and word, is done on this processor. In the olden days, there used to be a math coprocessor that
Yeah,
would only do all the calculations. So now we're looking at an AI processor that will do whatever the hell AI does, whatever. So now, if my laptop, which is an HP, is not AI compliant, it'll work, but it won't work as well. So I think we've talked about it. You can imagine what the refresh would be. If every computer in the world is now obsolete, I'm going extremes, but corporate America needs to update all their PCs, all their laptops to these AI compliant things.
right.
That's a huge windfall.
Yeah, we spoke about that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah, and so anyway, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah.
Interesting.
Uh-huh. I'm still kind of hooked on the 8% increase in MPS. And if it weren't 2024, I'd say yeah, it's about right because I would have thought that would have happened years ago. But all right,
So
cool.
interesting because since you mentioned that, it just brought to mind an RFP that I posted the other day
Yeah.
um, for 150 MFPs
Mm-hmm.
for a K-12, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But guess how many printers were in that RFP?
Oh, so how many? 150?
150 MF, A3 MFPs. Remember, nobody wants A3 anymore.
Yeah, well, schools do because they're all doing book copy.
Correct. They still do book copy, yeah.
Okay, all right. I was just being sarcastic.
No, you're
Uh,
not.
how many printers? You know, it would have been like what, 5 to 1 in the old days, but none. How many? Zero.
1,000.
Whoa,
That's 10 to 1.
10 to
Almost 10
1.
to
What
1.
is going on?
All right. That's the first thing that crossed my mind. 150 A3 devices and 1,000 printers.
Well, I'm a big proponent that the education system needs to be scrapped and started over, but that to me is like, is it 1974 or 1982? What the hell? Seriously. Wow,
Uh,
that's interesting, Art. That's very interesting.
but it is, what did Roosevelt say? A chicken in every pot,
Yeah,
a printer in every room.
that's what they're doing. Okay.
I mean,
Well,
that's the
someone's
only,
gonna.
I mean, that's the only thing I can think of.
Well, I can think of a lot more. There's some shenanigans going on. There's someone whose cousin sells printers. There's
You know what the biggest thing sometimes is that, especially when you get into municipalities and schools and stuff like that,
careful.
um, if you don't use the
Oh yeah.
existing budget, it goes away. Partial of it goes away the next year.
No, you've got to overspend your budget so that you can get a bigger budget.
Correct.
That's how it goes. So I get it. I mean, I understand that part, which was a school district in a big city. It's got to be like
I
LA and
am,
New
you know
York,
what?
or
You know what? I'm trying to look that up right now.
because it doesn't sound like Des Moines or St. Louis or Minneapolis. Well, maybe Minneapolis, Chicago, New York, LA school district. Oh my God.
I'm thinking it was a little obscure, the location.
Oh, or it could be someone that wants to stay under the radar, Art.
Well, they didn't stay under the radar with me.
Well, go back to my cousin sells printers.
Could this be? Where could it be? Let's
I'm getting
see.
deja vu. This is fun.
Lead for 35 plus copiers. Was that it? No. No, because I definitely put it in as 1,000 printers because I found that to be extremely unique. Because I haven't seen that on too many RFPs recently.
Wow, that's worth digging into. That's a 2020 or 60 minutes interview right there.
You think so?
There's no, I mean, well, without knowing, right? Maybe I can't imagine a reason to do that, but that doesn't mean it, there isn't a real reason, I thought, okay. Well, a printer in every room. Okay.
Oh, I
That
can't find it. I'm upset. I
a
can't find it.
copier in every department. So there's 150 departments, or
150
depends
work
on the
areas.
size. Yeah, yeah. I'm guessing those are for the admins and things like that, like the principal's office, or well, it depends. That's why I asked. Do they have a big administration office? Like LESD is huge. Is that what it's called? I can imagine the Chicago thing is huge, and the New York school district's got to be humongous. Could be DC. Yeah, there's shenanigans going on. But
Um,
oh well. So I
yeah.
hope someone gets it. That's get
Oh,
it,
of
get
course,
it,
but somebody's going to go get it.
get it.
I would just, man, I'd love to be able to find.
Well, dig it up. It'll come.
So for some reason, I'm thinking, believe it or not, and maybe this plays to why they would need 1,000. For some reason, I'm thinking Alaska.
Well, yeah, it might be a very remote area where they do need, okay, so that leans a little bit more to that would make sense. I've got 1,000 locations spread out across Alaska, for instance, that I need to make sure that they at least have a printer or two or three or whatever. Um, yeah, because you're taking a step 2 or 3 decades into the past.
Sure. I still haven't been able to bring it back up on my
All right,
site.
well, let
But
me see. Let me
I
think.
just thought I'd mention that. That would make a good chat.
It sure does. That and the MPS going up 8% and a bid for 150 A3s and 1,000. That's like 1999 all over again, or I
Yeah.
should say maybe 2002. Um, well, I got to think of a question for you before we exit. Something that asks you anything. Art, what do
Um,
you? Yeah.
I was going to no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you. So there's, I'm hearing a lot about retirements in general, right? I mean, what do you think about our channel and folks retiring out? Is it an issue? Is it not an issue? Because it was before, but I'm wondering because I don't know. I don't know what the employment looks like. You're in the field. Are a lot of guys retiring out, or
No,
really?
I just spoke to a P4P member,
Yeah.
P4Pay hotel member, 2 days ago this week.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently him and he's in Atlanta, and him and I grew up in a town next to each other in New Jersey. We weren't even aware of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until I wrote a blog and I mentioned growing up in Island, New Jersey. And he contacted me and said, "Hey, I grew up in Colonia." So he's 7 years older than me, and he's still selling copiers. He's 72, not full time, but part time.
But he's still hitting quota and stuff. I mean, he's still obviously right.
He's got a partial gig going on,
Yeah, partial gig.
but
Right.
he's hitting his numbers. He's doing numbers.
That's great. And wow. Wow.
And I tend to think if you do live in certain areas of the country, that you do have to hang on a little bit longer than you wanted to.
Do you think, I mean, high cost areas
High
or
cost area.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, like New York marketplace. I mean, could I fully retire here in New Jersey right now? No,
Mm.
it's not going to happen. Taxes are too high, increases are out of control. I mean, even the state of the state of New Jersey has built in, believe it or not, every year now they readjust your property taxes. Where
Every
it
year.
every year, where it used to be, they
Yeah.
only tax man only comes around every 5 years or 8 years. Now it's every year. You take in those um, state contracted roads like New Jersey Turnpike,
Right.
Garden
Right.
State Parkway. Well, now they've instituted a mandatory increase each year. So it doesn't have to go before the Board of Public Utilities.
No shit.
Right, now they put in an automatic increase each year. And I think the increase is 3.5% each year, no matter what. So they don't have to go to the Board of Public Utilities to readjust their pricing and get approval. They found a way around it.
To escalate. Oh, it's an escalation, automatic escalation. CPI or what? It's not even that. It's 3.5. Wow.
The world is all about copiers and
Absolutely. No, no, no,
maintenance
no, no.
agreements.
Everything comes. Yeah, it's absolutely right. Wow. And then they've got an evergreen on that. That goes on forever, I bet.
Yeah, that's what they've been doing. Yeah,
Crying out loud.
yeah. So Greg, I know you got to go. Why don't you
Oh,
close the show for us?
I will. So, well, Art, excellent time again. I love it. Great time. What I like about these is and we did it without even planning it. The mix between yesterday and today is today. It's the future. It's nutty, crazy stuff. But when you talk about MPS, you talk about copier RFPs and everything AI and all that,
Yeah.
it is what it was, and it's going to be what it was and what it is. Yeah, that works. But hey, thanks a lot. Next, well, we've got some great stuff coming up. I don't know if it's next week or whatever, but tune in. We've got to think is the MPSA is coming in sometime to talk about stuff. We're always looking for
Yeah.
guests to chit chat.
BTA is going to be coming in.
Yeah, the BTA. Sure. As a matter of fact, if anyone listening to this wants to get on, drop us a line. We've got plenty of cool packages that let you get in and on and content generation and all sorts of cool stuff. But anyway, Art, thanks a lot. Cheers. Have a great weekend. It's very sunny and hot here.
Enjoy Florida, my friend.
You got it. Thanks, Art.
All right.